So here we are in Xtool Studio. I have an Xtool M1. That's a 10-watt laser if you've never used that. And so I've got a piece of 3mm plywood loaded up, and I need to go and create my rectangle. So I'm just going to draw that out, and I am going to make it the size that we talked about. So I want the width to be 130, and I want the height to be 181. And actually, I think I'm going to back these off each 1mm just to make sure. Actually, I need to, sorry if you didn't see that, I need to back that off. Basically, I'm sorry, what I was doing here, this is the aspect ratio lock. I do not want it locked. I want it to be individual. So 129. And I think I'll get better use for this if I rotate it 90 degrees. And I'll put it up over here. I think that'll work. And then I need to make sure that that is set to cut. And then I'm also going to just a habit. I like to move it to red for cut. And then what I'm going to do, the thing I like to do with my parts is I am going to create another line here to the edge. And if I zoom in over here, I'm going to create another line from this side over as well. And what that's going to do is that is going to cut off the spare parts, and so that way I am left with pieces except for the top here. So let me get those cut. The idea here is something I came up with a long time ago for myself. Is, instead of spending time later and cutting stuff, what I want to do is I will draw extra lines, etc., to go ahead and cut shapes or whatever out, so that I'm left with as much usable space as possible. So, because basically what will happen here is I'll have 1-2 pieces in a little strip. I generally throw the little strips into a pile and I give those away when I get like a stack of them. But these other two are perfectly usable. Okay, so those are all set to cut. I've got a score here. I have a score. What is that? I don't know what that is. That is interesting. Okay, I do not need that. Huh. That's a score, that's a cut. Okay. Oops, I bet you these other two are scores too. That's what it is. Okay, sorry about that. I thought they were uncut. They were not uncut. Now they're uncut. Oops, missed one. That is a cut. Okay, so now everything I have is cut. And then that's pretty much it. So what this is going to give me the back. But what I think I'm going to do first is I am going to offset this. I'm going to do an inner offset, and I'm going to move it in. What do we come up with? 8mm? Let's do 8. Let's do 7 just to be safe in case my measuring was off. Okay, and what that's going to do, that's a cut. Okay, great. So what this is going to do is going to cut this frame out, this one right here. So we're going to end up with 1, 2, 3 extra pieces, and then this frame. This will be the exact size and of the backing. This is going to be one of the first spacers. Now, this project, the way I decided to do it is just use the laser. I mean, I could have done this using my table saw and stuff, but I just wanted to show you what it'd be like to marry a project from the 3D printer and a project from the laser. And instead of cutting smaller pieces, well, maybe if I should do that. Sorry, I'm just thinking out loud here. I know what I'll do. I will go ahead and cut this, and then we will come back and look at what we did. So it may be hard to tell here, but what's happening is the laser did not cut all the way through, so I'm kind of having to take it out apart by hand, as you can see. And so it's not all the way done. So I'm just trying to basically break the last part of the fibers on the back side. As you can see, it's most of the way through, but not all of the way through. So it should have just popped out of there. So we'll fix this in a little bit. So I'm curious if anybody figured out my mistake. So this doesn't fit. And the reason it doesn't fit is I was showing you how to lock the aspect ratio or unlock it, and I forgot to change this back to 129. And so what happened was it printed it off at 132, which is not 129. So anyway, so let me kill this inside one. And this is, so we're done with our pieces to save our scrap. Delete all those. And this is going to be 129 by 180. Actually, I think that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to move it over here, and I'm going to set it to no output. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back. Actually, you know what? I need this. No, I don't need it. I think it'll be fine. Sorry, I'm thinking out loud. Okay, so here's what I need. I need a rectangle that is, I'm going to unlock this. It is going to be 7 millimeters high, and I need one at 15. So these are the short pieces here, the sides. So I'm going to take that and put it down there. I'm going to make 4 copies of that. Let's see, I need 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to cut a couple extra. Okay, distribute vertically. I did not distribute very well. Okay, I'll space this out a bit manually, I guess. Maybe that's what the problem was. Okay, let's try this one more time. Why is this not working right? Distribute vertically. This is so, I may be running out of memory on my machine. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so I'm going to move these up manually. Remember, on the older machines like the M1, what you see is not exactly what you get. It's a little bit different. So the places are guidelines only. Okay, so there's that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the sides. So let's do, what would that be? Draw another rectangle up here. What I'm doing is, instead of doing a whole, this is what when I stopped talking a few minutes ago, what I'm going to do is I am going to put, instead of making a rectangle, I'm just going to make a bunch of blocks and glue the blocks together without them being connected. Be perfectly fine. Okay, so unlock this. I want it 7 tall. And what do I want it 1, see, 14, 180. Is that 66? Like 166-ish. And if these are not correct, I can always just cut that down. Oops. I'm not sure you saw it when it was lasing, but I had this support a little bit too close and it actually clipped it. Didn't hurt it at all. It just didn't laze what was underneath it. Okay. You know, you can stack these things right on top of each other. I just get really nervous about doing that, even though there's no reason for me to be nervous about that at all. It works perfectly fine. Again, this is not going to be rocket science here. These are just spacers that are going to be covered up by the main block whenever I do it. In fact, I can do the same thing down here. Just put them up, and what will happen is it'll just cut into the channel that was already cut by the previous one. Now, one thing I'm going to do on this, so that means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think that's all I need. Okay, on the cut, oh, these are all scores. Okay, I am going to select everything and change that to cut. Okay, that is no output. That's good. That's ignored, yes. Okay, these are all cut. I am going, power's already 100. Okay, I am gonna knock the speed of the cut down to 5. And the reason I'm doing that is this board is a bit on the bowed side. This is some of my older stock that I kind of had weighted down. Hopefully it would flatten it out. It did not. And what happened is, you'll see, remember you saw when I flipped the board over, it didn't cut all the way through. That's because it didn't have enough, it wasn't basically flat, so it didn't go all the way through. So we've got 3 ways to fix that: increase power, decrease speed, or increase passes. So we're already 100%, can't go further. I'm going to drop the speed back to 5. Most plywoods from Xtool or related things are either going to be a 5 millimeters a second or a 6. The default for this is 6. 5 works is just good, just takes a little bit longer. And 1 pass. Very seldom do you have to do 3 millimeter plywood more than 1 pass. Actually, you know what? I think I could. Can I get all those up there? Yeah, I can get all those up there. Perfect. And that way I save my block. Okay, so ignoring cut, that's a cut. I am going to hit process. I'm going to start it and then head to the shop and start the button. I'll be back. Okay, we're back in Xtool Studio, and what I am going to do is I am going to create a new canvas, and then there we go, create a new canvas, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that and put in here. Now you'll notice this does not look brown because it is not brown. This is matte board, as in what they make the sides of picture frames with, or the matting for the picture frames. So on this one, I'm going to change this to paper corrugated cardboard, and then power is 100%, speed is 12, and pass is 1. So this should work. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another rectangle. I'm going to draw it here-ish. Then I'm going to make it be 25 millimeters. I'm going to leave the score to be on. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to select that and select that one. And I'm going to align horizontal center and vertical center. So that, I'm going to change that to engrave, which is for me green, or score. Actually, score is blue. Okay, so got to turn that back on to output. And then what it's going to do is it's going to cut the red line and then engrave or score the blue line, and that is where my little thing that we created in the other video, where the mount for this goes. Okay, so let's process this and I'll come back when we are done. So I'm going to be using Starbond Thick, and all I'm going to be doing is just gluing these to the sides. So take that much. Make sure it's that. Hold it till it sticks. Got some activator. Not sure how to work or not. We'll try it.
Did work. To get my fingers glued together. Bottoms are similar, bottoms and tops. And again, I have 3 layers here. I'm just going to build up. And I hope it doesn't look too bad. We'll find out here shortly. So I should take that tag off too, huh? I'll just finish the rest of them. Well, I pushed the wrong button and I didn't get me assembling these. So these are all in. Try to blacken them with just a Sharpie rather than paint. Yeah, I think that'll work. Okay. I'll finish this off camera. You guys don't need to see this. I'm just using the standard, black Sharpie to just kind of color in the brown. It's already got black from the laser, so I'm just trying to equal it out. Back outside, here is our perfectly cut mat with our score in the middle there where we put our holder. And anyway, I'm gonna try and glue this in quickly because, as we'll mention in the video, it is so hot out here and it's 9 o'clock at night and it's still like 90 something degrees Fahrenheit. So it's just very hot. So everything's sitting up almost immediately. So I'm going to try to get this put in. I think I'll put it in and then glue it. And I think that'll be the best. Yeah, let's do it like that. I gave it a little bit too much space, but that's okay. And what I'm going to do is do that one. A generous amount so it does not try and fall off. I can do without making a giant mess. It's kind of leaking out right there. Well, I think I can get it out. There we go. All right. So this is it right here. So let's go ahead and put this on. So there we go. So that combined my 2 favorite tools, my laser and my 3D printer. And now I have a place to put this. I'll need to put a back on it to keep it from, to have a place to put it on the wall, take that little sticker off. Other than that, I think that might be it. I just noticed I may need to redo my post a bit. I may need to cut it back so it fits flush up there. But anyway, so that is the project. Thank you guys for sticking around. Hope you learned something.